The following program is intended for mature audiences.
It's the music, movies, and shows you love.
As if we care.
And hate.
You ain't gonna like it none.
And love to hate.
I didn't expect that at all.
This is the Broken Remote.
And coming to you live on tape on this Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. And since that is the date today, that means only one thing, and that is tomorrow is Will the Thrill's favorite day. It is NFL Kickoff 2022. I know you're pumped, Will. I know you've been waiting for this for eons.
And that stands for National Fantasy League, like national, like with dragons, like that kind of fantasy career. I knew it.
You get to pick your color dragon. You get to name them. And you get to be the fantasy general of your dragon army for the next 4 months.
I'm suspecting this isn't entirely accurate, but I really wish it was now.
Yeah, I mean, if they could figure out a way to do it, I'm sure they would. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, pre-scripted shows, not good for fantasy anything. Really.
Yeah, boo, everybody.
Right. Yes, boo is right. But yes, tomorrow is the beginning of the NFL season, or it's already started, depending on whenever the hell you might be listening to this. But regardless, that is in the sports realm. In our realm of, music, TV, movies, Will has gotten into a bunch of stuff. We have the House of Dragons. We've got another big show starting up with the Lord of the Rings. I don't even know what that's called yet. What is the title of that?
Rings of Power.
The Rings of Power.
Yeah.
And I am actually currently making my way through the original trilogy, and I got about an hour left of Fellowship of the Rings.
I'll start there, considering how that is probably the perfect movie that you could just do in like hour increments, because each hour is its own fucking episode.
That's what I've been doing. I've been doing it on the treadmill. So I put on I ripped through Stranger Things. Actually, let's rewind a bit. Okay. Let's just go to Stranger Things 4 because I finally finished it, so I'm all caught up. Right?
Yes.
So here we go. Stranger Things 4. It sucked.
You thought it's interesting. Walk me through why I thought it sucked, because I enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it, but it sucked. You know what I mean? Like, you can watch it, but ultimately in the end, when you look back at everything, like that final episode, which was like an hour and a half long, maybe, or 2 hours long, I fast-forwarded through a bunch of it. Or I think I played it at double speed. I think Netflix lets you do that.
Oh, you know what? You're not. So I definitely liked parts of it, but there was a lot of. Now that you're bringing this up, because I completely blanked that I did this, I skipped over a lot of the ending of the last episode. I completely forgot I did this because I can just not handle some of the character interactions on that show.
It was way too much. I mean, it was all fluff. It's much fluff.
They're trying to push Steve Harrington getting back together with that other girl who. She's had a romantic arc with a different character every fucking season.
Yeah, I know. They're going back and forth. Yeah.
It's she's dating this guy. Well, now she's dating this guy. Well, now she's dating this guy, but now, who does she like? I'm not sure.
Well,
and in reality, it's she's dating the one guy in real life, right? And now she's actually with him in the show.
Oh, no. Which one is she dating?
The not Steve Harrington guy, the guy that looks like he actively does.
The stoner. I forgot his name.
Yeah, the stoner.
Will's brother.
Yeah, that's who she's dating in real life. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
aren't you glad you know that? Aren't you glad that takes up a spot in your brain now and it can never leave? You'll remember that forever.
That's what we do. We fill each other in on the shit we don't know, right?
Exactly.
That's how tag teams work, right? WWE tag teams champion. It doesn't work with the I don't know, throw in any kind of I don't know, and the fucking there I go with one of my fucking ramblings. Off of that. Anyway, Stranger Things 4, right? So. Okay, number one, part of it is kind of Return of the Jedi problem, not Return of the Jedi, Rise of Skywalker problem, where they kind of set it up for failure with the season before. And what I mean by that is that at the end of 3, they jettison everybody all over the place, right? So they take them, put them in California. Right, which didn't do anything for the story. I mean, they basically took everybody, ripped them apart, and put them in separate areas just to have them do their own kind of side plots. It was like a video game.
They didn't exactly do a better job for this next season either. I mean, I've heard this argument before because I have enjoyed watching every season of Stranger Things. Like, there's never been, except for like some of the character moments in the last episode where I was just like, Jesus Christ. I usually, like, I have fun watching it, but I really think if the show wanted to be a masterpiece, it should have been done after the first season.
Well, if you read the articles, which I started reading now, just trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and I'll get to my original point of why I really thought it sucked. They said as much. They said this show was written to be a limited series. And if it was done that way, it fucking rocked, right? It was
first
great.
season, everyone loved it.
First season was so good, right?
Yeah.
Second season, not
I think
so
the second
much.
I think the second was the weakest of all of them.
Second one was the least enjoyable to watch out of all of them.
Yes, absolutely. Like,
Right.
It felt like a slog by the end.
Yeah, but by on its own, I still think season 2 was better than season 4, even though I had more fun watching season 4. Does that make sense or no?
Absolutely, I totally get you. I did like the villain in season 4. I thought that, like,
Okay,
I was very
boom.
happy.
That's where we're going. Go ahead, finish.
Okay, yeah. So I liked that he was related to 11 because I was wondering, like, what the fuck does this evil demon dimension have to even do with her? Like, why is she a psychic if you have this?
Exactly, Will.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I was glad he was there, but then I was really confused with, like, because it really feels like they just rewrite the entire background lore. Oh, I'm just hitting on everything here. Okay. I'm just getting everything.
Suck it, motherfucker.
You are a stupid asshole.
It's everyone.
Give me a hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Exactly, dude. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. That's exactly where I was going, was that they completely rewrote this entire series for season 4.
They just keep doing it too. It's really weird. Like, it's just like no. The demon from the first season, he's like a baby demon. Like, no one cares about him. It's
Dude.
now this giant spider monster cloud thing, and then it's like, well, he's not even really.
Okay, we lost you for a second there. Your audio cut out. It dropped off. So anyway, we got everything back and up and running. You were ending with your thought that Vecna isn't even the one in charge, or the spider monster wasn't the one in charge. It was Vecna, right?
They set him up as this really cool, like, Lovecraftian creature that was pretty. I mean, I thought it was cool. And then they're just kind of, no, he's like just kind of there. He's literally just a cloud, but it's really been
right.
to do the, and you're just like, he didn't even exist till last week. Shut up.
Yeah, and so that was my problem with it. So when they introduced Vecna, I saw it in. It's funny because I was like, oh man, they just copied the Swamp Thing. Because when I first started seeing the character, I wasn't watching the show, so I saw him in the Netflix queues on all of the. The pictures that they tag on with the series. So I see him and I go, oh, look, it's Swamp Thing. So there's some kind of character, whatever the hell. And as I catch up.
Like, oh, God.
Right. And so I don't know what the hell, they were looking for, but they blatantly just ripped off Swamp Thing. Point being, I get up to it. They introduced the character and it just didn't make any sense to me because he came out of nowhere, right, compared to everybody else. He's kicking everybody's ass. And then as they slowly went through the series and they start, I mean, it looked different. Like the Upside Down didn't look the same. All of a sudden, they're focused on a house. It's all red. And then when they do the big reveal that number 1 is actually Vecna, and he tries to like haphazardly tell this story about how he went to this other side, and then he saw the smoke monster. A smoke monster. There I am using lost terminology. And then he turned it into something that he could use, and that was based on spiders that he like loved when he was a kid.
The spider. Yeah.
It was like all over the place. And it was like, do you really want us to believe this shit? So then I just couldn't understand. I was like, hold on. So if he was the bad guy this whole time and he was controlling all this from behind the scenes, how do you get from what he was doing in the first one to what he was doing now? Like, why wouldn't he have done this from the beginning? And then I read some Reddit thread that said the reason he was able to do number 4 was because the Demogorgon spider monster from 3 bit Elle in the leg and stole her powers.
That's so stupid. Oh my god.
Right? I mean, that's a long way to get there.
Listen, it's just a writing thing or whatever. It stole her powers. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I saw the leeching happen. I mean, they do just clearly have like a case of just like, oh wait, this would have been a really cool idea last season, and then,
or from the beginning.
it's just like, if they could combine 1 and 4 together, that would be a great piece of storytelling. I feel like they came up with the Vecna and went, fuck, that's what we should have done for the villain of the season.
Yeah.
Sonic, because her just like, because season 1, they clearly were just like, they were using her to like spy on the Russians, and then she accidentally stumbles into demon upside down dimension. And it's just kind of like, okay, that's cool. I'll deal with it. Why not? And now it's like they're trying to tie it all together and just like,
So
I still liked it. It's just there were very obvious flaws. But what really just got me more eye-rolly was the fucking, like, just kill Hopper already.
well, you can't, right? I mean,
I like David Harbour. I think he's a good actor. I have not seen the Hellboy movie. I've not heard good things, but I still like him.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in that much. I know he was in the Black Widow movie, but I like him as Hopper. If I've seen him in other things, I don't know what it is, but I like him as his role in this.
But it's just like, okay, it's done. But yeah, like I like him, but it's just the show doesn't feel like it has stakes anymore. If you're just going to be like, oh, by the way, he survived disintegrating. In fact, he didn't even disintegrate and get teleported to Russia, which is what I thought happened. It's like, no, he just sort of like fell down a stair, like a stair, and like no one's bothered to walk 3 feet to think over.
Yeah.
And then you're like, the fuck?
And they never explain exactly why Russia has the Demogorgon. They never explain why they keep feeding it.
Yes, they did.
No.
Just
because.
Okay.
That works.
Because.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was just, when I was watching it, trying to piece together the logic going from 1 to 4, I just couldn't figure it out. And it definitely just felt like they were like, you know what? We're getting to a point where, what the hell are they fighting? They're fighting nothing. Like, how do we have them actually engage in nothingness? So let's make a big bad. And then we'll stick him in and we'll retroactively somehow link him to all the rest of the stuff.
Can we talk about also for a second, because they really glossed over this in the season, but I remember thinking about it and being like, well, that's not okay, because you just sort of left it here. 11 tried to murder that girl that was bullying her at school.
Oh, yeah, that's done with after that episode.
You're like one, like that girl was clearly a piece of shit, but like she was 1,000,000% trying to murder her with her powers. Like, yes, she beat her with an ice skate, which, you know, I was
right, the roller skating.
And when she beats her with the roller skate, I was strangely okay with that one. I was like, okay. But the other one's like, her psychic powers disintegrate people. And that's what she was trying to do to that girl. Like, she was trying to force push her into a brick wall. Like,
yeah, like she would have beaten the fuck out of her.
Yeah, like you're basically giving a child a gun when they're like, we're going to give you back your powers stronger than ever. It's like, there's not really been an emotional growth with her. If anything, seems like she's regressing, and you're giving her a more terrifying superpower that could destroy helicopters in midair.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Because Elle is supposed to be going from this clueless child that has the ability to kill people with the snap of her neck, and now she's trying to become a superhero, but in the same breath, she, blew up the fucking helicopter. She smashed a girl in the face. Like, I did think that at one point in the season. I'm kind of like, she really isn't nice.
She's not. Like my favorite superhero is Superman, as I think I've mentioned before. And like his whole crux, as much as everyone like rips on him, is that he's just got like such like a strong moral fiber that
he's a Boy Scout. He is literally.
Which I like. Like, he's just like, he's just, no, this is the right thing to do, and I'll do it. And he's got like this godlike power, and he uses it to take a cat out of a tree. Like, there's something nice and wholesome about it. And meanwhile, Elle, like everyone loves making the evil Superman story left, right, and center now, where like, what if he was Like they just turn him into Homelander. Well, Elle's basically baby Homelander, except they're like playing it off as she's because she blew up a helicopter with a bad guy in. It's like, yeah, but she almost killed that blonde girl.
Right. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, who was a dick, but like, like,
It's true.
over that, like, I don't know. You could turn that to like a million other conversations about teenagers and mental health or something that I'm sure people would scream about, but it's just like, that doesn't concern anyone else.
No, nobody seemed to care, and that was one of the things that I was watching and thinking about during the whole thing. The Vecna, it was just a retcon. They blatantly just rewrote it and stuck him in there because they wanted a big bad. And that reach for the fucking spiders, I was like, really? I was like, you probably created the original one because you thought it looked cool as a spider.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and then they were like, but we can, that's how we'll do it. Because we made it look like a spider, we'll say he was infatuated with spiders, and so he made it look like that in his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck off. I mean, come on.
The one thing, though, that I really and I do have to stress, I still did like the show. These are just a lot of flaws. It's not like what we're going to talk about next, which I genuinely fucking hated. It was that one song the girl listened to like on repeat to get out of the demon world or whatever it was.
Can you explain that, by the way?
I hate that fucking because like they're like, if you listen to a song you like, it like calms you down to the point you can like wake up from like some stupor. Was like I guess the concept. That's the other thing with the show. It's like an episode of Seinfeld where like they just kind of like figure out what's going on in an episode of Seinfeld where you have 20 minutes to, get like, here's your problem. They kind of find out, but it's a comedy. In Stranger Things, they're like, we need to find out who this demon's real name is. And then they just trip on one book in the library in this fountain of books and they go, oh, Jim, that's okay. Well, now we know his exact address, social security number, and why he turned evil. And
right.
They go house and they find the next thing in 5 seconds. And you go, you did this shockingly fast for being 17.
Yeah, and so that brings me to the next point. Hold on. We're going to take one more quick break because I want to see if we can fix the audio because now whatever's going on, when I laugh at anything or try to talk with you, it actually cuts out your audio. So take a quick break, which will be instantaneous for anybody listening, which is all of us. But for us, it'll be like 5 minutes.
Like a professional shop here.
Yeah. We're trying as hard as we can. So hold on 1 second. Okay, so what I was trying to say before was one of the things that I thought of when I was watching this, and I said this to my wife, is that what this show really feels like. Have you ever seen Poltergeist? I'm sure you have. Maybe you haven't. It's from the 80s.
That's the Craig T. Nelson, right?
Yes, correct. Craig T. Nelson, coach.
Yeah.
So, you moved the headstones, but you didn't remove the bodies. So, basically, it's an 80s horror movie, and I think it was Spielberg produced, and what ultimately, it was about dead people and ghosts and the other realm. And the daughter, Caroline, gets sucked in through the TV, and they try to figure out where she is, and she's in this other dimension. So when I was talking to my wife, I basically said, Stranger Things is just Poltergeist. They just took it, and they said, well, what if we defined where Caroline went? Instead of being a fuzzy TV, we actually made the other side. And it was basically the same thing, right? Will takes off, he's gone, and he's in the TV, but this time they tried to define it. And that's why the first season felt so cool, was because it was Poltergeist defined. It was a limited series. There was a beginning. There was an end. They got him back. Everything went well. And now they're trying to kind of retcon it with this Vecna thing because they want more legs.
Yeah. Ooh, the Vecna crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's just, it's good. It's good. It's just, like so many other shows would have just fallen under their own weight at this point. So I will say that. I mean, clearly the Duffer Brothers are just getting forked over like doubloons, just chest full of doubloons.
Oh, for sure.
Just to keep this show going, because like this is, I guess, the biggest thing Netflix really has going for it right now. I don't really know anyone that gives a fuck about anything else they have that's original content. They have some good shows, but it's just like.
No, it's a ton of junk.
There's not that much original stuff that's worth it.
Yeah, it's a ton of junk. So those were my final thoughts on Stranger Things 4. Is that it was fun to watch, but it was bullshit.
Yeah.
Because the logic didn't work, and it was retconned, and it was obvious that it was, and they separated everybody. They spent half the season putting everybody together. That part was not fun because nobody was with each other until the end.
Yeah. Which was kind of like, okay, I don't know. They're very clearly influenced by like movies from the 80s, obviously. But
well, it's what's helping keep it afloat because there's references constantly. Oh, there he goes.
Oh my God!
God bless you. Let's not do that again.
I got to make sure the mic peaks, otherwise, what's the point?
Well, right now with my echo and your sneezes, this whole thing has just come off the rails. But
this is a real professional thing we have here. But I will unceremoniously just because we're talking about Stranger Things. Let's talk about Doctor Strange 2,
all right, so
which I watched this weekend. I know we have like 40 other things to talk about.
We do. So we'll kick it off, and since your big event of the football season starts tomorrow, we can insert little sound bites to separate the segments. So
Absolutely.
away we go for Stranger Things over, like you said, to Doctor Strange.
Woo!
Oh, a little football whistle in there. All right.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Topical.
Yeah,
Love it.
I got to keep it topical.
Anyway, so I'm not sure what you thought about Doctor Strange 2. I hated it. I could not.
I didn't feel that bad about it.
I don't know what it was like. Because I think overall it was fine. Maybe if I really think about it, but while I was watching it, I was groaning the entire movie audibly. Like my mom started laughing at me because of how much I was like legitimately rolling my eyes and just going like, oh fucking God.
It could have been better story-wise, but to that regard, what was making you groan so much?
It wasn't Doctor Strange. Like his character's fine. Wanda was actually a cool villain. Like I kind of liked her as a villain because she's so ludicrously overpowered. But there's just like the girl MacGuffin. She was the worst actress I've seen in like a movie that expensive in a while.
Oh, her name is
America Chavez in the movie.
America Chavez. Yes.
I don't know the actress's.
Right.
I don't know the actress's name.
No, I don't either.
She was legitimately shockingly bad. Like it took me out of it. And it's a Marvel movie.
She was TV series. She was Disney Plus material.
It was like you would be lucky to be a side character on Bewitched in 1960s with that acting. Like it was.
Congratulations! That is a great reference for somebody of your age.
She pretended to drink like tea. Like at one point, like they drink this tea that knocks them out, and she goes, "What was in the tea?" And that is legit. Like her. Like this fifth grade fucking version of Wizard of Oz, where like the Tin Man, like I can't move. When I was 5 years old, when I did that,
sure,
like, that was that. I could have stood side by side as a 5-year-old as the Tin Man and done just as good of a job.
She did not deserve to be in that movie. They should have paid somebody with a little bit better in terms of acting chops.
It was shocking that she had as much screen time as she did with how just
she was basically like main character 2. Or 3, I guess, if you want to say Scarlet Witch was 2.
Yeah, and then like she was just because she was in it so much and she was such an obnoxious MacGuffin, and then the fact that it's like, my powers are a curse. Have you tried controlling them?
Well,
I can do that. Oh, what?
Yeah, I know.
Control my powers?
But did this part?
No.
Did this part bother you? The fact that she wasn't introduced at all before this show or this movie, and then all of a sudden she becomes the third wheel, like as featured as much as Scarlet Witch. Did that part bother you? Because that's what bothered me.
Like I think a bit. Like she was just so bad of a character. And just such a bad actress portraying her, and she was in so much of the movie that I couldn't get past it. I wish I could. Because like Doctor Strange, he's kind of fun. Like he's like, I don't know if he should have a movie based around him. And Cumberbatch is good too. Yeah, like he's good. I thought it's Elizabeth Olsen. There's so many Olsen twins now.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
Olsen sisters now. But she's great. A little weird where she's like, I need to save my boys. Like, okay, like
I don't care.
I
She is
can-
easily the best looking of all the Olsens.
I mean, she's the only one that doesn't look like was trapped in a room of just cigarette smoke for 4 years.
Yeah, sure.
Like her
That's another
face
way of putting it.
I was gonna say the other two look like they have legit like a baseball mitt for a face. It's just that
aggressive.
that tough of leather. That is very aggressive actually, but still, I've read
Hey,
the
the shoe
fury
fits.
the
See what
fury
I
about
did
this
there?
movie.
The shoe fits, leather.
There we go. Huh? That was good. There we go. That's perfect. But it was just, I couldn't get past that. I was audibly cheering. Like my mom said, you're gonna like this next part, and then like the Avengers all get slaughtered by the Scarlet Witch, and I was going, yes, thank you. Oh my god.
You know what was awesome? Have you seen on YouTube the re-edit of that when somebody actually
No.
added blood and all the rest of it to it to
that would
actually
be great.
make stakes to it? Let me tell you, because remember, Sam Raimi is a horror director.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of gotten sucked into this superhero realm, starting back
Spider-Man,
with
yeah.
Spider-Man, and now he's doing this. But, it would have been great to see him unleashed.
You could
Because this
feel
would have been
parts
the
of
movie.
it.
You could feel parts of it,
Yeah.
like basically the Evil Dead Strange when he became
Which was
reanimated with the
cool.
dead, which was cool, right?
Yeah, I liked that. I thought that was awesome.
That was like Evil Dead coming through, right? That was as hardcore as he could get in Disney. But if you go on YouTube and look for that scene, and they just add blood and everything, and literally the Black Bolt redo is awesome because they got blood in his
where
eyes and everything.
his fucking skull got caved in and shit.
Right.
That was badass.
So,
But like,
and that was also a tease too, because ultimately they weren't even in it that long.
no, they weren't. It was because I saw images. Obviously, how could you avoid spoilers at that point when fucking Jim from The Office and Sir Patrick. I don't know what his last name is.
It's not Patrick Stewart. You got me. It's
Is it Patrick Stewart? I think it's Patrick Stewart.
Is it
right?
Patrick Stewart? Whatever. Charles Xavier.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart. Wow. Okay, I was going to
Patrick
say
Stewart,
Patrick Warburton, but that's the guy that plays.
For a second,
Joe
I thought he
from
was a
Family Guy.
golfer, and I was like, hold on, no, maybe it is Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. It sounds too plausible to be it, but that's what it is. Yeah.
Picard, Charles Xavier,
Yeah.
that guy.
Star Trek Picard. But it was just like they were in it for literally 5 seconds. They didn't it was a cool fan thing they threw in, but just like I don't know.
It didn't
I
make
felt like
sense. It was a
more
reach.
Of a flex. Yeah, it
Well-
was more of a flex on Disney's part to be like, hey, guess what properties we have again? Huh?
Well,
Huh?
to use the terminology Illuminati, that takes a set of balls because the Illuminati in the comic books, it's a huge storyline. It's World War Hulk, right?
Yeah.
They banished the Hulk, and those are the big heavy hitters. And there you come up with this Illuminati here. Now maybe they bring the Illuminati into the actual MCU, not this alternative universe. But I don't know. I just thought it was kind of like fanfare, right? Like in the middle there, it was like, we need something to do. We're gonna do the Illuminati in a separate realm.
It was, yeah. It was weird that they threw Fantastic Four guy in there. I did think it was funny because with all like the references to past Marvel heroes that weren't related to the MCU, and they were using like, hey, look, here's Tobey Maguire and here's Andrew Garfield, and it's like, well, what about Miles Teller or the other guy that played Mr. Fantastic beforehand? Who? Who are you talking about?
And they just
That
pulled
never
these
happened.
people out, right?
I don't no. John Krasinski. There was a meme about him being a great one, so he's going to be it now in this movie.
Peggy Carter, the Black Miss Marvel,
Which was I don't know what those were for. I felt like that was I think like Peggy, that was like some Marvel TV show they made her Captain America for some reason, right? Peggy Carter.
It was the animated What If series on Disney Plus.
Okay, which is just kind of like, I mean, Captain America is the whole reason he's popular. I feel like is the same. It's not his powers or like him with the fucking frisbee. It's kind of
It's him.
it's that goody two shoes thing with Superman again. That's what their real appeal is. It's not their fucking powers, and people just seem to be like, no, it's the shield. That's what people like about him. Yeah.
Black Bolt was weird just because it was the failed ABC series, right?
Yeah, that was what I was wondering. I was like,
Yeah, that's what it's from.
why is he here?
Because in the comic books, he's got a little bit of juice, and they're trying to revive anything that's dead.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm like, shut up. Your power is stupid. It's stupid. And then they proved it was stupid. But yeah, dude, I just didn't like that movie.
The whole movie you did not like.
I wanted to like more like so there's this evil book in the movie called The Darkhold that has like access to all the evil spells in the world, and eventually gets destroyed in the movie. You're like, oh, that's great. Okay, what a cool concept. I guess maybe like the spell, because like this book has like evil powers because of these spells, and it like slowly corrupts you. And then it turns out, oh, we don't need the book. There's a fucking mountain that is basically a placeholder, and you go, no one knew about this mountain. No one knew about this fucking evil twisted mountain that you can go to. Where is this coming from?
So
this is. Why?
To that end, there was nothing in the movie. They're blending everything together.
Everything's together. You need to watch 50 million hours of content to understand the background for one movie now.
Right, and so nothing here made sense. And when you were done with it, you are left with a question mark as to whether or not it's dead. Scarlet Witch is dead. Right. Nothing else really got covered. There's an alternate universe if you can tap into it, which maybe some people can and some people can't. So I don't know. It was again, it goes back to our conversation about Phase 4 and exactly what the hell has taken place that is moving the MCU along to its end point. And I don't. Whoa! Oh man, blow my ears out. Your headphones have gone crazy. Okay, so now we're back to the I talk you talk thing. So.
Okay, which is what everyone loves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, it is what it is.
The audio today is not my best suit.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll fix it.
But it was just so. What bothered me about it just was so much more powerful than what I enjoyed about it, to like such an genuine degree. The alternate dimension was dumb. The one MacGuffin girl was just so grating. The one guy, Wong, when there's this evil book and they destroy it, and she goes, I will kill these 4 people if you don't tell me where the most evil location on the planet is that has access to all the evil in the world that will kill billions of people. And he goes, whoa, not my best friend cow guy. Okay, literally a cow. It's literally like a cow person. It's like a minotaur that's just there. No one explains it. And he's like, okay, you can't kill Benson. Like, calm down. And then he just sells out.
Well, get ready, because in She-Hulk, Wong's coming back and he makes a cameo in episode 3.
Oh, thank God. I was worried he wouldn't constantly be shoved into everything because he's not one of the main Avengers. Oh, thank God they're bringing Wong back. Oh.
Yeah, and again, this again goes to our previous conversations of Phase 4, that it's just all over the place, and they need to pull it together somehow, and I don't know how they're going to do it.
The thing is, I like the character of Wong. I think he's like kind of interesting. They keep throwing him in he's like the character that appears in every single piece of Marvel now to kind of tie everything together. Like, you just see Wong everywhere.
Yeah, he's the happy guy.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, you see him in Shang-Chi, you see him in this, you see him in She-Hulk, and you see him in Spider-Man. He's fun. I mean, he's literally named after the actor, which is crazy to me. But just that was such a fucking weak moment where you're like, really? You're selling everybody out because he's going to kill a cow? Are you fucking serious? Like, I couldn't get over that. That was so ridiculous.
They've now turned him into the glue, and the reason being is because he's not a main character. He's kind of a side character. The guy will probably take any paycheck he can get. They don't water down the product by using this one character. So now, they're like, okay, we'll make him comedic. He'll be, kind of like the overweight, comedic, random superhero that we just tie into everything, and he's the glue for our story, which is a weird approach because it's fucking Wong.
Yeah. I'm kind of shocked they don't have anyone else that they could possibly have fit that bill. I mean, good for BD Wong. Like, get that fucking paycheck, dude. That's awesome. But you have this gigantic universe with so many different characters, and like he's it. Like that's your one thing you have to tie all this together now with your 50 million shows?
To that point, I agree. They probably just could have taken, okay, these couple of shows, it's going to be this superhero. These couple of shows, it'll be this superhero. And just spread it out so it just didn't have to be Wong so fucking heavily.
Yeah, it's just bananas. But oh my, like they go to the different universes. I also don't know why it was called the Multiverse of Madness. They go to one other universe.
That was a critique on the internet if you read it.
Okay.
And
God, I was looking at the movie. I was like, I was expecting some Rick and Morty shit where they're going to all these different ones, and it's like, here's another Doctor Strange.
yes.
Okay. And here's a third one. And you go, all right, okay, let's see how weird you get with this. That's it.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do something where it was like an incursion event where the multiverses could collide and there was going to be something awful and, there was going to get, but it ended up not being that really at all. And
at the end, it's just like, really? This is what you're doing with this? Rick and Morty, which is, I know people didn't like the last season. I thought it was fine. But they do more with the multiverse concept in 20 minutes than they did with their 2.5 hours or whatever the length of that movie was.
Well, can we just talk about the multiverse for a hot second here? Because I get it where, the comic book stories that I've read that have been multi-universe faceted have made sense. And to a degree, it's okay. But ultimately, it's just a writer's tool to get themselves out of the corner.
It is a step away from time travel, which I despise.
Oh, yes. Yes, for sure. Your hatred for time travel, the multiverse to me has worn a little thin.
Oh, no, it's everywhere. Everyone's using it for everything now. It's like, why is this happening?
Because it's all the retcon.
Yeah, multiverse. It is. The multiverse is now the new answer to I'm tired.
Yeah. I am tired.
I don't want to write a plot. It's multiverse shit. And they also say the word multiverse in that movie or universe too often for me to take it seriously anymore. It is that movie was, and I liked some of the things Sam Raimi did with the movie, but it's just. And this, I don't even think this is his fault. I think this is just Marvel because they gave him you make a movie called Doctor. Like they gave him the title and then it said make a movie around it. Like you've jumped the shark at this point. I think it's pretty clear, Marvel. Like maybe.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, like it was too. Well, if we don't make sure that we return the one crystal of Coriolanus, then the entire universe will explode. They say that with a straight face, and it's just like, I hate you. There's something about this that has just gotten too preposterous for me to take seriously anymore.
Well, the Multiverse of Madness had massive reshoots, and to mention it again, part of the theories online as to the reshoots was because there was no madness in this multiverse. It was just a random movie about shit.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do? They probably you need to include that girl actress more because she's one of the producer's nieces or something like that, which was the vibe I got from her. Oh, my God.
Well, if you take out the Illuminati, that show, God, I keep calling it a show, that movie loses a lot of its little fanfare, and then you look at it, what it is, and it's just boring.
Next, you're going to say the whole reason they went to the Illuminati, which was to get that one book that got destroyed and then got completely glossed over because nothing really came of it. Oh, wait, nothing did come of it. Oh, was that entire the movie completely useless?
Right.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was not a good movie. I wasn't bored watching it, but it wasn't a good movie. It didn't go anywhere. And at the end, I did think to myself, why did they bother with this one outside of giving Doctor Strange, a second movie?
Yeah. And then the end of the movie, like she destroys the mountain that the Dark Evil book is based on, and it's like some noble sacrifice. And it's like, well, first off, there are like apparently an infinite number of these books out there in the universe. Like Doctor Strange found another one at a dollar store, basically at the end of this movie. It's like it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, also, this movie doesn't mean anything unless you had seen WandaVision.
Which I did.
So, like, the part about Wanda and her kids and trying to get them, I mean, if you didn't watch WandaVision, you probably could have picked up on it, but, I mean, you missed out on a lot of, the emotional background of that whole storyline.
Wasn't, like, the whole thing, like, those kids were basically a fever dream she created in this, like, alternate, like, thing? That's so... Just stop making your shows, Marvel. Oh, my God. It's so dumb.
They were fake kids to begin with, and then she got attached to them in this world that she created. And then at the end of WandaVision, she has that spell book, and she's reading all about how to, go into the multiverse. And then she hears her kids calling her, and she was like, oh, my kids actually do live. They're just not in this one. I created them here, but they do exist somewhere else. And so then her mission was to okay, well, I'll just go there because I know what it feels like because I created it here. Now I just have to find where it really exists.
That reminds me of that one time where my Tamagotchi I had, he died. And then I was so angry. I went on a multiverse genocide of just thousands of people and slaughtered them all. But then I realized that Tamagotchi was evil, and I broke it, and then everyone forgave me. So
it's a shame. I hate it when that happens.
Thank God I learned the error of my ways. Oh, God, stupid fucking movie. Oh, my God. I just was watching it the whole time, dude, and it was so fucking stupid.
Well, you want to talk about slaughters. Let's hop over to Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, and let's just start backwards in this one.
Yeah.
So somebody explain to me why they had to wait for the note to come from Viserys to do the plan that they all were sitting on the top of the mountain talking about doing in order to get the crab feeder and his men out. But they decided for 3 years not to do that until this letter comes from Viserys, and then Damien's like, all right, fine, fuck it, we'll do that. I'll be the bait and I'll go do it. It took 3 years, but now I'm ready.
I knew we were going to talk about this exact part, but I put thought into this. So I think what happened was, because it was basically guerrilla war on these seas for like 3 years. Like they were just hiding in caves. Dragons can't do shit.
Yes.
I think what happened was he doesn't want his brother getting any credit for ending this guerrilla war. And
Agreed.
So his brother's like, hey, so you've not been doing so great here, so we're going to come in, and now this is going to be solved in like 3 weeks when my troops get over there. Then you're not going to have to worry about this anymore. Sorry that you fucked up, but maybe this will smooth things out. And the brother clearly is upset with his older brother who denied him being heir. Like Daemon's upset with his brother Viserys.
Understand all of it.
I think it was basically to him like, okay, I can't just wantonly keep doing this war that we're doing. I have to basically, if I want this to end and get credit for this, for me ending this, not my king brother, I have to go on this essential potential suicide mission to end this right now. I think it was.
And I agree with all of that. All I'm saying is that it's been 3 years. So after year one, and it's going so poorly, they're fighting the same area. They're fighting that fucking that sunken pond that's got no water in it anymore. That's got the crabs in it, and basically they fight with their hands. The dragon comes in, crab feeder and his men fade back into the caves, and then they just wash, rinse, repeat. It's the same shit over and over again. So the plan of somebody going out in the middle of this and being bait had to be thought about way earlier on. And now it's like 3 years later, and now they've lost a shit ton more men, and now they're really getting pissed. And now they're like, somebody needs to be bait. Daemon's that guy.
Yeah. I think because he had like this sort. I mean, I would not want to do a suicide. Like, if it was just like, hey, you can just slowly wage this war out here, and there's no chance of you dying, versus, hey, you can end this right now. but there's one small hitch, and you might get stabbed with arrows.
Now, the question I have is, I doubt, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I doubt that the crab feeder and his men in whatever time frame, era, world this is, that they don't have technology, knows who the hell Damien is anyway. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but...
He's the only dude with blonde hair like that, and, the dude that was riding the dragon.
But in this era, we talked about this, about how the women just do what you tell them to do. Couldn't you just get a blonde wig, because I'm sure they could make wigs back in the day, and stick it on some stupid soldier boy and have him go down there and pretend to be Damien? I mean, there are so many infinite ways to actually get this done instead of Damien actually doing it 3 years after the fact that they get their ass kicked.
This is true. This is one of those things where it's kind of like Season 7 Game of Thrones. Even though I still think that one was dumber, they're like, what if we sent all 12 of the most critical characters to our government beyond the wall to wrestle Zombie down? And you go, what did you just say? What is your plan? Can you not do that? And they do it anyway.
It just took me out of it, because I'm sitting there and they're all mad up on the hill. And then it was like, all right, he's beating the shit out of Viserys's, soldier boy, messenger boy, and then he just walks off. And I'm like, okay, he's gonna do the bait thing. They just talked about the bait thing. Why did it take him 3 years to do this shit? There's no other way to do it. It took him 3 years to get here. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, ultimately it ended. He cuts Crab Feeder in half. Game, set, match, and now he's gonna look like the fucking hero, right? That's the whole point. And so we will now march on.
Anybody? Whoops.
So we will now march on with him looking like a hero when he got his ass kicked for 3 years. And so I just thought logically that part was stupid. And I think it gets overlooked just by the simple fact that, this is a mythical, super old place. They don't have technology. Strategies aren't what they are in modern days, and so they just came up with this. It was like a suspension of disbelief, and I get it. It's Fantasyland.
I mean, guerrilla warfare is like notoriously just hard because there's no this is like a time period where honor was just such a I'm going to openly charge into you this way, and you'll openly charge into me.
For sure.
And like the American Revolution, the reason we did so well is because we kind of basically cheated and ignored all former rules of war that the British had come to expect. So I think that was kind of the idea because of how just shitty that way of fighting is. That said, it's kind of like if they're staying in these sea caves, do they have a way out of these sea caves? You couldn't starve them out, maybe?
Well, it could starve them out. They couldn't have the dragon just breathe fire directly into every single one of the caves. I have to suspend disbelief, and I was thoroughly entertained by it.
The fight scene was fucking awesome.
It was great. It's just the military strategy behind it. It just seems extremely lacking. But, whatever. That was the only thing I could think of when I was watching this. I'm like, they took them 3 years to get to here? What the fuck?
Yeah. What's going on, man?
Yeah. So,
what are you doing?
I will. That was my first point. I've got a couple other ones, but I'll let you take it from here. So you can continue on with your thoughts.
I really dug it. I mean, it's just such a it's clearly a solid show. I am pleased with it. I like the characters. My one friend's complaint, which I do kind of like, though I'm not sure if I'm even in agreement with it. It's just an interesting point. It's compared to last Game of Thrones, where just every scene was about a different group of characters, a whole other family's perspective. This is really about just this one family.
Yep.
How kind of fucked up it is, which is got a good and a bad part, I guess, because you're really only getting this what's the daughter think, what's the dad think, and that's it. But I guess that's the only ones that really fucking matter at this point until they start killing each other.
Yeah, I do like the intra-family aspect of it. I have. It's a very enjoyable watch. It kicks back. I don't know if it's earth-shattering in any way, shape, or form.
It's got to be weird when your best friend's like, by the way, listen, I love you, but I'm going to start fucking your dad so I can be queen and outrank you while you're reading the book. That was such a weird... She's like, why are we still best friends? It's like, I wonder.
Okay, so to that point, Does the time aspect throw you off?
I don't mind the time aspect because I know how much they have to jump because I know where this is going.
Right, again, you do.
But they are so blatant about the time jumps.
You
It is.
think?
Oh, it's just like you might as well just put gigantic bold letters up 3 years later at the beginning of every episode.
Yeah, it'd be a better way to do it.
Yeah. Oh, it's his second name day, but you were pregnant for almost a year. And then they turn to the camera slowly. You do the math, audience.
And what was the one that they did last year or last week?
It's been 6 months since that conversation from the episode before. And you're
It was 6 months, right? It's 6 months, and then it's 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
that's
just
right.
like,
6 months since the passing of the mom. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
yeah, just like, bro, we get it.
We're going to tell time this way. It's
Yeah, I'm not
understandable.
brag, but I know how to count, and they're not shy.
And I mean, to that end, Rhaenyra has not really aged a whole hell of a lot for 3.5 years.
They have another actress for her, which is like, I get because the time jumps I know that are coming, but like, she's the one in all the promotional stuff, and it's been 3 episodes, and I've only seen this other version of her, and you're kind of like,
Well, do the math. I mean, let's say it's been 3.5 years. If she was 18, she'd now be 21 and a half. If she was 21, she'd be 25-ish. And it's kind of like I don't know what age you're going for with her, but she really hasn't aged a lick.
yeah.
And they age human years, right? They're not like, they don't turn out to be like 300, right? They're not like Yoda.
I don't think anyone gets like that. I don't think so. But I'm pretty sure everyone's got like a relatively human lifespan.
Yeah, and so that part of the show is kind of catching me in different ways. Number one, like you said, the heavy-handed, this is how much time has passed, we're just going to tell you. Number two, some of the people aren't aging as you would expect over such a period of time. And number three, they just gloss over so much of the character interactions that could help build the backstory. So it's been, I don't know, 3.5 years, 6 years. I think 6 years now is the total amount of time that's been carried. And, I barely still know any of these characters and who they've interacted with and all the rest of it. I don't even know who the fucking crab feeder is. And now he's dead.
Just some dude. He's just some dick.
It was just some dude and he's dead.
Who cares? He's dead.
And so, I mean, okay, that's fine. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be a big guy, just the guy in the beginning to get all this stuff moving. But the interactions these people have had, I don't know who's super friendly with who. And, I mean, I just don't know enough about them. And now it's like we're going to lose a couple of these actresses because they're going to do a time jump pretty soon.
Bye, actress. We loved having you here. It's been great.
So, and I know it's getting to a dragon war, which is what everybody wants to see, but I also kind of want to know a little bit more about the characters. Shit.
Badass. Gonna have a fucking dragon war.
Is the book the same way?
It's well, no, the book's it's so different than like what we're even having here because it's really like there's a couple things of dialogue here and there, but it's really just like so then this character said did this and this character did that. It's really just like a historical retelling, which is weird because it's all fantasy that he made up. But that's kind of how he structured the book this is based on. It's basically like a bunch of bullet points of what happens with each character in order. It's not what because people think it's like the original Game of Thrones where he basically kind of wrote every episode and it's in a book form now. But it's very different. But he basically laid it out to the point where I'm like, I know what's going to happen here and here and here. And so far, it has stayed pretty fucking close to what he wrote down.
Yeah, I didn't read the book, so I don't have that background. But whatever was written, it has been an enjoyable watch. I blast it only here and there because I mean that's what I do. I'm a half empty kind of guy. So,
yeah.
But it's been fun to watch. So regardless of all the things, the time jump it bothers me a little bit only because there's some things I'd like to have more, such as, backstory between these people and some kind of, visual aging, which would help me along. And the military thing, I mean, that was one scene. It was just a little ridiculous that it took them 3 years to come up with that idea. But regardless, dragons are flying around. People are dying. I can follow the story. It's good. And I'm entertained by it. So
yeah, no. It's fucking. I wish I had more to say about it. I'm just thoroughly enjoying it so far. Thank God, considering season 8 just was so disgusting.
Well, how about that'll lead to this? Maybe you don't have much to say on it because it is very safe.
I mean, you're right. I think it's because it's still starting out. They're trying to make a season 2. Once the Dragon Wars start happening and they really start, as it were, cleaning house with these fucking characters.
Sure.
Which is what's going to end up happening. Because most of them die, even though they still have a bunch of characters they have to introduce. But a lot of characters are going to fucking die in this. And it's going to be dragons fighting dragons. It's going to be looking dope as fuck. And I'm very excited for it.
But to the Stranger Things topic that we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
They can't let go of Hopper, so it kind of kills the stakes, right? But they get rid of minimal people. Sean Astin, they get rid of Dr. Bob or Super.
Oh, that's
Super
right.
Bob.
They killed off Samwise Gamgee.
Right. They kill off Billy. They kill off the friend, the redheaded friend. They kill off people that don't have heavy stakes, and then it gets to be Hopper, and they just don't want to get rid of him, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be death in this, but my fear is there's going to be no stakes because I kind of don't know these people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I feel like a lot of the characters too, because it's kind of like them versus them. They still got a whole bunch of other characters. They really started this shockingly early with the Dance of Dragons, but I guess they had to. But they really got to start introducing more characters because so many die, but a lot of them just haven't been born yet. Spoiler alert, I guess.
I gotcha. Well, there's a lot of time to be covered here.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna do the leaps are gonna get a little longer before you know it. It's gonna get a bit much. It's gonna be. Listen, I'm just here for the dragon fights. Don't take this.
I got you. No, I got you, and I won't. I'm critical of everything, including myself and my performance.
Have these giant monsters fight each other, so my inner 5-year-olds can see the Godzilla fight. That's all I live for anymore.
So, well, we've gone, talking about time and time jumps, and we're going to be jumping forward, left and right, with this one. Let's go back in time. And let's go to the Lord of the Rings, because while I haven't seen it, you have not, and I know that you wanted to talk about this as well.
I have seen it. Yeah, no. I've first up, how are you liking Fellowship so far?
I am not a elf and hobbit dwarf. I am not that kind of fantasy fan. However, I did dig it my entire childhood in video games because it makes for great video games. Just not visually what I enjoy seeing. Mm-hmm. That said, I'm watching it as I, do my, hour on the elliptical every day. And so I've gotten through 2. I just started 2 days ago. I did 1 hour yesterday, 1 hour today. And it's caught my attention. I guess my only question is, do any of the rings other than the main ring matter? Because it feels like they were all bullshit and there's only one ring that matters.
So I mean, that's the main one. I mean, so the other ones are actually, they all kind of, except for the Dwarven one, spoiler alert, they're all in the story, actually, in some way, shape, or form. It's just the only one that really matters is the One Ring, because that's the one that, he needs to regain to full power, the main bad guy.
Sure.
The other ones he wants, but if he has his One Ring, he basically, their powers are all very, you figure it out, idiot. The way the movies, when I was a kid and I first watched them, I thought the only power it gave you was invisibility. But in reality, it's way more powerful.
Well, it's a whole other plane, actually, right? So, I mean, it's invisibility, but you're in another realm.
Yeah, you're in this thing called the Wraith realm, basically. But it's basically he poured all of his soul into this thing that greatly amplifies his powers and whoever accesses it. And the most base level ability you get if you have like no skill whatsoever is you seem to turn invisible.
Yeah.
Which is like literally not what it's supposed to do. Like if it does that, that means it's not working. Which is why when Frodo like the fact that a Hobbit is able to wear it is like what's so crazy because
they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, they're just. It's like he never in wildest dreams considered a fucking Hobbit to wear this thing, which is hysterical to me. But, the other rings are there. I don't want to say. I mean, it's not really a sport.
Don't ruin it.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say who has them. But everyone that has a ring plays a part in the story in some way, shape, or form, and that's all I'll say. But the rings themselves, the whole crux of this TV show, is how they're all being created in the first place.
And
which
let me just add that the one thing I really am enjoying in this is that it is just a whole supercast of fucking science fiction and fantasy actors from all the movies that I've watched for the past 20 years. So it starts off, and it's just kind of like, oh, there's fucking Harry Potter, right? Oh, there's Magneto. Oh, there's Darth Sidious, or Darth Tyrannus. Oh, there's Viggo Mortensen. He's in this too. Oh, look at that. That's the bullshit artist from Ronin. But you guys probably known him as Lord Stark. And and then oh shit, it's fucking Agent what do you call it from the Matrix?
Yeah, fucking Hugo Weaving's there.
Hugo Weaver, right? You know.
Blew me away because I didn't realize how big those were when I was a kid, but now I'm just like, when you go back and you go, holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's in it.
Yeah, everyone's in it, which is just fucking bananas, just how crazy that is to me.
And then it's Mikey from the fucking Goonies. He's in it too. So.
Yeah. It's fucking awesome. I mean, I wish I saw some of those actors more. Even the guy that plays fucking Gimli, you don't realize it, but he's the guy who plays like Indiana Jones's best friend in all those movies, like Salah, which minor role.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
From the Middle East, yeah.
Yeah, with a Fez hat.
Yep.
He's as well, but that's just the one that I mean, because my brother and I watched a bunch of Indiana Jones growing up, and I was like, why does he seem familiar? Holy shit, that's him. But yeah, I fucking love those movies. Like I watch them all once a year. They're like, that is my shit. That is GOAT. And then we get to this TV show that everyone has been bitching about online for a week now, and I don't get what they're complaining about.
Oh, so it's good.
It's not amazing. So I think House of Dragons plays it safe, but it's better. And I was talking to a friend earlier. I'm going to give it like a 6 out of 10, which is not bad. But the first episode was kind of boring. The second episode was definitely better. And they're still kind of figuring their way out right now. And like the first scene, this is a $700 million show. House of Dragons is $200 million. And it's just like, where did that money fucking go? Like,
really? Oh, see, I've heard that is like visually the tits.
You know, the CGI is amazing, but you know, and the practical effects. They have an orc, like the orcs. So if you ever watch the Hobbit movies, they CGI all the orcs, and it looks awful. It's the same problem as like the prequels of Star Wars, where like you CGI done that. The practical looks so better, and they do practical again in the show, and the orcs look fucking terrifying, and it's awesome. And I'm like, yes, I'm fucking here for it. But the main character, who they're following for most of the first episode, she's basically Rey from Star Wars.
I don't like that.
Exactly. But the thing is, they focus on like it's like Game of Thrones again, where there's a bunch of different storylines focusing on different characters. So yes, you have Rey from Star Wars, but guess what? Here's 4 other characters that are actually interesting to follow, that are going to eat up a bunch of the screen time that she would take up otherwise. Because I really don't like her. And she has a lot of the first episode, and she's barely in the second one. And the second one was so much better.
Right, okay.
Just like, this is a boring show. What are my neighbors doing upstairs?
They're doing a little, you know that.
No, that's the ones over there, because every night as I'm going to bed, I go, again? But
hey, great, man.
Yeah.
It puts you to sleep real well.
It really does. You're like, oh, this is really nice when I'm lying on the ocean, and you go, wait a second, that's not the ocean. But yeah, the first episode was just kind of boring, and there's like a couple things where you're just gonna go, wait, what did you just do? What was that? And the very first scene of their $700 million show was really fucking stupid. Like, it was just dumb. Like, it was just a dumb fucking scene.
Okay.
It was just like, you have to watch it, but you know how they say like Gandalf will say something wise in the Fellowship of the Ring. Like, he'll say something, and you'll go, oh, that's kind of nice. I kind of like that. Like, oh, you can like think about that. You're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. It's kind of smart. They try to do one of those in the very first scene, and it doesn't work. It's just something so, like, they try to say it wise, but something like simplified. Like, why does a rock sink but a boat float?
All right. Yeah.
You go, why? Because a rock looks down towards the darkness, while a ship sails on till morning. Like, is this Peter Pan? What the fuck is this? Is these are actual lines for your the fact that writing was what was letting it down in the beginning.
Are they the same writers?
I think it's completely different.
Completely new. Okay.
Completely new. It's just like the same IP, as it were. But even then, they're not going to like base it on like so like House of Dragons is basically George R. R. Martin's baby.
Yep.
Like pretty one for one of what he wrote down. From what I understand, this is going to be a chunk of what J.R.R. Tolkien did, but they're going to fuck with a lot of stuff.
Now, is there source material?
Kind of is what the rumor is. So they're going to take like what they like and they're going to ignore the rest of it. And it's kind of like, is that such a good idea?
Okay.
I don't know if I can trust you guys because I don't know how you got this job. What else have you written? What else have they written? Let's find out. Writer.
I mean, I like what I'm seeing in the Fellowship of the Rings. I imagine that it's going to get more my style as time goes on, because I know there's fighting that takes place and big war and all that kind of shit. So we're going to get out of like elf and hobbit land, because I can't imagine that it's 3 seasons of them, especially since they've introduced all these like warrior-esque characters, right? Viggo Mortensen, whoever that guy is, he's the descendant of the guy that had the ring to begin with. And
don't worry, I know you were worried, but they're consulting J.R.R. Tolkien's grandson about this show. Oh, that's like when they consulted George R. R. Martin's housekeeper about what to do with House of Dragon. That's going to be great. That's right. Because he definitely wrote these books. Because he definitely riding up his grandfather's fame.
Because you see people like Abigail Disney who, oh yeah, she's the heiress to the Disney empire, and she goes out there and just basically is like, us white people are terrible and we owe money to everybody other than us. And it was like, well, you can fucking start with yourself and start giving yourself money. But she'd ship the whole fucking Disney, empire down the fucking drains if she could. So I don't trust families of, historic, if Star Wars was still George fucking Lucas's, then and it passed on to his kids, I would shit a brick.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. I probably would have been like, well, let's see what they got, because George definitely lost it. But
yeah. If you ever look into the Tolkien family, and this is like the most basic look into it that I have, so don't even pay attention to me. But so J.R.R. Tolkien wrote the books, obviously, but he heavily talked to his son while writing the books. So like whatever his son says kind of carries some weight, because he was like his dad's sounding board while he was writing. He assembled all like the after stuff after his dad died. Like he basically managed the entire estate. So I kind of trust him.
But this isn't him.
This isn't him. This is his son, who I'm pretty sure probably worked like one day at a concession stand and said, "Fuck this," and now has just been kind of coasting off his grandfather's work for his entire life since then.
I mean, fiscally, as you should, right? That's just the way that the world works. Yeah. But keep your hands out of the content.
It looks like they started making this show based on what I can see here. Christopher Tolkien died in 2020. When did they start working on this show?
Probably the day after he died.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so he sounds like he was probably out of it. Okay, they bought in 2017. They bought a 5-season production commitment worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Amazon shipped
right?
a continent of money, to get this thing.
But I just like it looks beautiful, but like it doesn't look like House of Dragon looks just about as good. It doesn't use as much CGI, except for I guess the dragons, but like I can see House of Dragon's budget. I don't know where the budget for this one is yet.
Well, I imagine the way that Amazon's video sucks. So Prime Video is just terrible. They have a couple of things in there, but it just doesn't gel. It's not something that you purchase. I mean, it's quite a few steps behind Netflix. They still battle the same deal, which is, we're trying to make this up and we don't know what we want to be. I ultimately think now that they made such a play for sports that they're going to turn Prime Video into more of like a cable alternative with like live program, maybe not live, but live, pre-made programming in some kind of grid type form. And they're looking for shows that are going to bring people in. Obviously, there's other alternatives too. Yeah, get Prime Video for this, and then you pay the $100 for Prime, and then you got Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. But it just feels like this is more of a tool to get to Amazon's greater video goals. And, as a result, they'll throw money at it. And now it's up to whoever owns it to sculpt this fucking thing and make sure that the mold is good.
Yeah. I'm literally looking at like background about the showrunners right now to see how nervous I should be. Okay. I mean, the guy who directed the first few episodes did Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom, which was a movie.
Fallen Kingdom was the second one?
That was one with the mansion or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that was no good.
It was not good.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that's not his fault, but I don't know why they picked these showrunners. I mean, at that point, they could have just picked me off the street and say, Will, make our Lord of the Rings series go. I have no experience. That's okay. We're not looking for it. We spent all the budget elsewhere. Like, it's just...
Well, why they pick Rian Johnson? Because he did Looper, which actually was a pretty good movie. But, I mean, ultimately, they just end up wanting to take bets on people that, probably don't cost a whole shit ton of money, and they think that they can have some control over, or, they align with. The era of the people with good, ideas, original ideas that kind of make it, on their own. I keep thinking back to, like, the Kevin Smiths, right? Like, Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, they came from the movie realm out of the whole, I'm going to do it my own, I'm going to figure out a script, and then I'm going to finance it my own way, and that way I get to do my own movie, and then all of a sudden, all the production houses come after, we'll give you a shit ton of movies, make movies for us. Right, and so, Kevin Smith's like, yeah, who's this Weinstein guy over at Miramax? You seem like a pretty solid guy, so...
What could go wrong? Yeah, I'm sure this
I'll hop into bed with you. Nowadays, those days are gone. And now, the players are so big that they're like, it doesn't matter what it is. We own all the good properties. So we just got to find somebody we can keep under our thumb and make sure they do what we want them to do.
Which is kind of nuts, because I feel like you could take just such a better video than before on your fucking phone. But maybe that's me being too naive. Like, maybe just know it is. Why can't there be another Kevin Smith right now? It's like the original fucking bullshit of comedy.
Because it just won't. Because everything's so fractionated that you'll never generate that kind of buzz again.
Whoa. You said fractionated, and as a millennial, that offends me. And now you have to write a 50-page apology on Twitter, or I will press the cancel button.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the truth.
Cancel button. Cancel. Oh, my God. How dare you talk back to me, sir?
Well, as a sport analogy, if you grew up in the 80s, everybody had a subscription to Sports Illustrated. Everybody watched football. I mean, not everybody, I should say. There was a much larger majority that read Sports Illustrated, maybe Sporting News if they were really aggressive, or Sport Magazine. Then they watched tennis, they watched golf, they watched hockey, they watched basketball, and they baseball, football. You watched all of them. So that people were like, oh, yeah, this guy, that guy, Boris Becker, Ivan Lendl. Like they're talking about all these fringe sports. Now now it's like my son, and he's talking about like, oh yeah, I know Mr. Beast, and I know the DT Diamond Cart, and I know FGTV, and insert YouTuber here, where and I'm just like, yeah, well, have you ever seen Michael Jordan play? He'd be like, I don't even know who that fucking is.
Who is that? What are you talking about?
That's the guy in your shoes, Dad? Like, yeah, that's the guy in my shoes.
Yeah. He wasn't in the newest version of Space Jam. Get him. Get him at.
That was the king.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if that would be there, because if Kevin Smith came along and made this kind of like fun indie movie, who sees it? Who watches it?
I mean, I think like Matt Damon even made like a fucking comment about that, about how it's just not worth it to make those types of movies anymore.
They miss.
Unless you have a superhero in it, unless you have Doctor Strange, just no one bothers to see a movie anymore. It's just fucking pointless.
Well, not to mention that a lot of those movies, they came from the R-rated, graphic offensive, areas of the brain. And so you can't do that anymore. So if you can't make sex jokes and jokes that are out, in bad taste, but they're funny, like how do you come up with some of these fucking slapstick ideas? You just can't do it. So
it's so. Do you think we'll ever get like another movie that's not Marvel, or just something really artsy like this Olivia Wilde bullshit that I know way too much about because no one will stop fucking talking about Olivia Wilde this week?
The Chris Pine, Harry Styles spitting incident.
Yeah, that thing, how she cheated on Jason Statham for Harry Styles and all this, like everything that I just completely resent having knowledge about now, but I just know way too much.
Well, she cheated on Sudeikis with Styles, right?
Not Statham. That'd be if she cheated on Jason Statham, Harry Styles would be which I'd be okay with. But yeah, just he cheated on him and then he fucking served her. It's such a. I almost would watch this movie if it weren't for the fact that I know it's going to be just as probably eye-rolly, if not more so, than Doctor Strange if I watch it.
I don't know anything about it. I've seen one trailer for it, and then I started reading all these stories, and I saw the video.
Exactly. I feel like no one's going to even watch the movie for the movie. They just want to know what all this one thing that was like the center for all of this fucking weird drama.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. To your question, however, do we ever get back to where it's movies that aren't, big-time IP? I doubt it. I feel like the more and more we get into this streaming era, peak TV, golden era of streaming, whatever moniker, ends up sticking with it, is that I think TV and shows become ultimately way bigger than they even are now. It's just going to be the big ones are good, and the other ones kind of fall by the wayside. And movies are just left for big events, and that's it.
Everybody buckle up and hail to your Netflix, Prime, Hulu overlords for whatever the next hour-long episode per TV show is going to be.
Yeah. And movie theaters, they'll go from, instead of an AMC 16, if they're ever rebuilt, I could see, like, movie theaters being torn down and then, like, instead of 16, being, like, AMC 10s or AMC 8.
Those quarter porno places, again, that's what we do. So we all build the community back together. You put a quarter in a slot, and you have 40 grown men watch softcore pornography on this gigantic IMAX screen, and you just go, who just threw Jello on me? And you go, oh God, and then you you pack up and leave for the rest of the day.
Right. I mean, if you look at the Fed right now is trying to kill demand. I would imagine that maybe Hollywood, in terms of at least the movie theaters, try to crush supply. Because if you were to take the movie theater, the problem is there's too many movie theaters, right? And before there was a lot of movies. Now there's not that many movies. So if you were to take the movie theaters and chop them in half, all of a sudden you probably see like lines, impossible to get a ticket. People are like, that feeling of being at a sold-out event would return to the movie theaters. But you're never going to do it in the current format because without the, big Hollywood properties, there's just too many seats. And so you just feel like you're like, oh, yeah, I'm in a half-full theater because why would this place be full?
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't. Movies don't feel special anymore. Going to the movie theater feels like a complete waste of money because
It is. That's because it 100% is. There's no.
it's true.
I go to the movies. I see the same thing on screen for the 100th time, unless it's Top Gun, which is like I saw this 20 years ago, but now I'm seeing it again, so it's different and special.
Right, Top Gun Maverick. I can now buy it for $20. I can watch it with the whole family at home, whereas I would have taken him to the theater and I would have spent $120.
And you got to remortgage your house.
Right, and I don't have to do that anymore. So, I mean, I just saw Elvis is on HBO tonight, which means it must have been out last Saturday is the premiere.
Say, what? I didn't even know that came out yet.
Oh, my God, it came out maybe 4 weeks ago, and it's on HBO now.
Oh, that's rough, buddy.
So,
sorry.
You got 4 weeks to wait for a movie to get from the theaters to TV. I'm just gonna wait. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah, well, that bodes well.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Elvis movie. I'm sure that did great because I definitely have not heard anything about it, which definitely bodes well. I'm glad they keep going. Who is a famous music person? Quick, make a biopic about him.
Right. I heard that the Elvis guy is good. And other than that, it a little forgettable.
That's Tom Hanks thing.
Yeah, well, Tom Hanks, he's just throwing gutter balls all over the place because he was in Elvis, and now he's going to be Giuseppe, right? Is that his name from?
Are you saying Pinocchio's not going to be a classic? You're saying that creepy demon creature that is CGI Pinocchio in that movie, that's not going to be a classic that I'm going to want to take my kids to that will definitely give them nightmares?
I mean, shit, dude. Think about that. Pinocchio's coming out, a real live-action Pinocchio, and it's not even going to theaters.
Oh, it's not even going to theaters?
Nope. It's going straight to Disney+. Plus.
Ooh. Who does Tom Hanks owe money to?
Unless it's a Disney Plus, in the theaters. But if it's on Disney Plus, they wouldn't put it in the theaters because nobody would go.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. Yeah.
So stupid. Pinocchio is such a weird movie to remake too. I'm kind of debating watching that one because that one just looks bad. I mean, none of them have been good. None of the Disney live action remakes have been like, this really improved on the original classically animated movie that has aged perfectly well for the last 40 years or 50 years.
Yeah, no, none of them have. Beauty and the Beast was actually pretty tolerable.
That was the only one I've enjoyed that I've seen. I've seen Maleficent. Like, you go in expecting this really cool, like, adult version of Sleeping Beauty and, like, her just being a fucking badass. And then instead it's like, what if she was the good guy? And you go, well, that defeats the purpose of this movie. And then I guess it did well enough they made a sequel, which I don't understand.
Angelina Jolie, right? I mean, she's a zilch in my book, but
yeah,
so he is.
She looked great. She looked like she pulled off that Maleficent look, and they go, what if? No. What if there's like this Raven dude now? Wait, why? Because we said so. Now, anyway, and you go, well, this is the next 2 hours.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, it's why I have no investment into seeing that. And I think they actually took Maleficent and didn't they like do a spin-off to the Disney Channel, and they now made it something else too. I'm pretty sure Maleficent went, into a TV series of some sort with kids.
You know who's tired today? You know who's tired today, Rich? I'm tired. I'm tired,
Well, our microphones and audio are pretty tired too, so I'm actually going to fire up the Thursday night theme here, which I don't know if that's going to drown you out or not, but
that's it, right?
Yeah, okay. You can.
Yeah.
So long as we don't talk over each other, we can both say peace out. But I think probably now, good time to wrap her up.
All right.
Well, you enjoy this weekend. We'll catch up next week. Hopefully, we'll figure out the audio issue. I do think it might have been the headphones, and we'll be actually able to talk at the same time.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a nice change of pace from today.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with me, because I don't know when to shut the fuck up.
But neither do I. That's what works so well when we have to respect actual human etiquette. It's not as fun.
Yeah, it's frustrating. My fucking brain breaks.
If this podcast isn't basically like Fox News pundits screaming over each other, what's the point?
Agreed.
That's a great point you have there, Tucker, but what I'm really thinking about is here about...
It's like everybody getting their points in. Mm-hmm.
I have to show how much cooler I am because I talked louder.
I mean, that's basically Thanksgiving now at this point. But anyway, I'll talk to you later, brother.
All right, dude. Peace out. Talk to you guys all next week.